Garrick's name tag reads Elam Garrick, former Cardassian oppressor. Dukat needs a friend, and Odo is not as solid as he thinks. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Cirroc, Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we are doing a review of Deep Space Nine Season 5, Episode 8 already, entitled Things Past, written by Michael Taylor and directed by, who knew, LeVar Burton. How you doing?
Doing good. I don't know if this is the first LeVar Burton episode, but
No.
he has directed a few episodes for us. This is the first?
No, he's done a few, you're right.
Yeah, he's done a few, yeah. Friend of the show. Really good guy. But Michael Taylor, I've heard his name before as well.
Yeah, real quick, LeVar actually directed 10 episodes, and this is his 6th one. So you're right, he is all over the place. He did Indiscretion, The Sword of Kahless, which was the one over the big batleth that they went and got out of the caves. He did Bar Association, the one that we had Chase as a guest on. He did Rules of Engagement, To the Death, and now Things Past. And we've got 4 more to look forward to. And also, let's do a quick look at Michael Taylor. While I'm looking that up, let's give a quick shout out to our good friend, Mr. Titus Mohler, associate producer, good friend, extremely knowledgeable. When he shows up at the free-for-alls, we just name like an episode, and he's like, oh, that's the one where this and that. And I'm like, how does this guy remember this stuff? But we do love Titus. He's an amazing guy. He laughs at our dumb jokes. Very supportive, very cool guy. Thank you,
Very
Titus.
cool, yeah. Thank you for your support, Titus. And definitely got a memory, like he's sharp.
Yeah.
He is sharp.
He's a pro.
But we have a whole group of pros, though. I mean, TJ, Homer, Anne-Marie.
Right. I know these
we
guys.
They have a Rolodex of information.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's awesome to have people like that, because then you could just throw something out and they know exactly what it is. You could be like, what was that episode? And they all just yell out the title right away. You're like, okay, I didn't know.
I got it.
So Michael Taylor, oh boy, he's written 4 episodes. Okay. This is the second one we've reviewed of his. The first one is The Visitor. So that's why his name hits something for you. Now, also, he did an episode called Resurrection, which I think LeVar also directs. When I was on LeVar's page, I think I saw Resurrection. So coming up soon, we'll do another episode written by Michael Taylor, directed by LeVar Burton. I don't know if that was on purpose or just a coincidence. And the 4th one, he did a teleplay of In the Pale Moonlight, Cirroc, which is considered by most to be one of the 10 best Star Trek episodes ever. And some people consider it to be the best Deep Space Nine episode, In the Pale Moonlight. It's amazing. It's incredible. And it's our boy Avery. It's possibly his finest moment in Deep Space Nine. So look forward to that.
Wow. That's saying a lot, because we've had a few really good moments on this show.
Including this episode.
Including this episode, which I did give an A+. Let me just give that out in advance. I wrote that A+ on the top of the page, as if it was a good paper.
Did you circle it?
I sure did. Give it A+ with the circle on it.
That's how you do it.
I was like, wow, that's how you do it. Old school style. But yeah, that's how I felt about this episode. And I'm looking here at Michael Taylor's background, as a sci-fi writer.
Yeah.
But clearly he is like amazing. I'm curious to see what he's working on now, because he's that good. And he joined Ronald Moore. Ronald Moore swooped him up, obviously, for Battlestar Galactica. So he knew where the talent was. And I'm sure he's going to stay working pretty much until he decides he doesn't want to, because the man is talented. And when it comes to like stories like this, when it comes to stories like The Visitor. I mean, he's making classic television. He's making the kind of television that stands the test of time, and also that tells these really good stories.
Yeah, we really should have. I'm gonna try to reach out to him, see if we could get him for Resurrection, even though that's in the next season. But you're right; he's got quite a resume, including 20 episodes of Voyager. I didn't realize. I knew he was affiliated with Voyager, but I didn't realize he had written 20 of them. That's pretty amazing. But Battlestar Galactica, that's one of the best written sci-fi shows ever, I think. And so big kudos to Mr. Michael Taylor. Hope we get to meet him someday.
Yeah, and he also worked on The Dead Zone, which, if I'm not mistaken, is Sean Pillar, Michael Pillar's son's.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, Michael Pillar's son's show. If I'm not mistaken, Sean Pillar was one of the guys on The Dead Zone.
Very interesting. Okay. Let me just take a super quick glance just to.
And Nicole DeBoer is on that show, by the way. Remember?
Wow. Yeah. Michael Pillar and Sean Pillar are both credited as creator and story by. So yeah, it's actually both of them. That's really cool. I had no idea. And it's based off the novel by Stephen King. Wow, good stuff. And Nikki DeBoer is a part of it, huh?
Right, which is, I believe, obviously she has a history with them, but they went, she worked with Sean and Michael Pillar after Deep Space Nine ended. Mm-hmm. So that was a good little fun fact there. Obviously, just to bring that up was for the fact that Michael Taylor, as a good writer, would have clearly have been somebody that they wanted to keep working with. This is what they do in the business. If you're talented, they bring you on board on multiple projects. So Michael Pillar, obviously moving on to The Dead Zone with his son, said, "Hey, this is the guy we want to bring along. This guy that writes these kinds of episodes and this kind of television." So, I mean, that's just a testament of how Michael Taylor's skills set is. And then obviously Ron Moore decided that he wanted to work with him as well for Battlestar Galactica. So he brought him on as a co-executive producer. So kudos to Michael Taylor. It'd be a real pleasure to get a chance to interview him and pick his brain about
that'd be great.
Sci-fi writing. Yeah.
So, Michael Taylor, we know you're watching this because, you watch all of our episodes probably, right?
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
So come say hello.
I think it'd be great.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay. So also, I do want to mention, before we do too much of a deep dive, a couple things. Number one, everybody at home, the best way you can support us is just to make sure to give us a 5-star review, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this with your friends, comment in the link below. That goes a long way towards building this podcast. You know what else goes a long way is going to patreon.com/the7th-rule if you'd like to support monetarily and get some really cool perks like being a part of the show and getting, awesome credits and cool stuff sent to you. I mean, boy, oh boy, it's exciting. That's patreon.com/the7th-rule. All of the information is in the description box below. The other thing is our friend Eve England out in Wales. She sent us a piece of information just like an hour ago. And I just want to read it to you guys. She says, one thing from the companion, the Deep Space Nine companion book, I suppose, LeVar Burton referred to this episode as Nightmare on Odo Street. And the team was basically trying to achieve a nightmare/horror factor to the episode. So that's an interesting little tidbit there. Did you get a nightmare feel from it?
No. I didn't.
You weren't even like, not really. Kind of. Nope.
No, I didn't get a nightmare feel. The only time where I felt like, okay, this is a little weirder than I anticipated, and maybe it had a slight nightmare tinge to it, was when they escaped out of the jail prison holding and went into the docking bay area, and then ended right back up inside of the prison that they started. And that's when I was like, oh, this is not the usual,
time travel thing, right?
Right. This is something else, right? This is like something needs to be resolved for this thing to move forward. There needs to be a moment of realization where you're like, oh, I did this wrong, or I shouldn't have done this. And I realized at that moment, okay, that's where we're going. This is not a time travel thing. This is not an escape to the shuttle bay and wait till the wormhole opens up at a certain time and we'll be back. This is something where I felt like there needs to be some kind of resolution of something that happened in the past for this thing to be moving forward.
Yeah. And I actually had to rewind when they reappeared in the cell, because I was like, okay, seems like that's what happened, but I was like, let me make sure they didn't just take a wrong turn. And I was like, no, okay, it's a weird thing. It's like it's more of a dream or a simulation or a program rather than a travel to the past or something real and tangible, like you said. So that's when you start going, okay. And that's when, of course, Sisko and the others start going, all right, what's going on here? And they all go, Odo. They all turn, you know something.
Yeah. And also, like, usually in a dream sequence, nightmare sequence, there's like superhuman things happening, right? The storyline doesn't play out in a normal way. There's like really abstract things happening, like it's smoky everywhere, or people are saying extremely unusual things that just don't really make sense. But this kind of had a linear, a flow to it where it was like, oh, this makes sense. This doesn't sound like how the Bajoran prophets talk about what is time and all these theoretical, questions. This seems pretty linear. This seems like matter of fact. They're at a place at a time, obviously during a real life event of some occurrence. So that's where the time travel aspect comes. But then my first question, as I was watching this, one of my notes is, where's Odo? Right? Because I was saying, well, they went back to Terek Nor, and Odo is clearly not himself, so he'd be able to see himself there. So I was interested. Like right away, I was like, "Where's Odo? Where's Odo? He's got to be here somewhere, right? How come they're not looking for him?" And you would think Odo would want to talk to himself, right? And say, "Hey, I'm stuck in this reality. Help me out, man. It's me. It's you. It's you. It's us.
It's us."
Yeah. But that didn't happen, and obviously for the obvious reasons as the story played out. But very well written show, in my opinion. I mean, there were a ton of. I think the nightmare, going back to that was in the companion, the DS9 companion. Yeah, so I think thanks Eve for giving us that little nugget. But I think the nightmare was really LeVar Burton's nightmare. And I think the nightmare for him was directing this and trying to visualize it in a way that made sense to him, that he eventually conveyed to us. Because there were a lot of things where you would have to, you cut away and somebody's not there, or you cut here and they turn invisible, or you go here and, you just started where you ended up. Or this person is, not supposed to be that person. So I think that for him, he was having to put all that in his head. Like, okay, am I going to show them as the Bajorans that they were a long time ago? That's a directorial, I think, choice, right? Because they decided not to show them as the Bajorans walking around. They decided to show them as the characters that we all know, Sisko, Dax.
Right, because then there would be like 4 different actors. So they kind of they quantum leaped it. It's Sam
Right.
Beckett. You know,
Right.
we're seeing the people that you know, the actual characters.
Right, which is a choice that he makes, but it also sometimes gets you lost in the story of where you are at and what's going on. Okay, you're not Gold. I mean, you're not Garrick. You are a Bajoran playing. You know, you're Garrick disguised as Bajoran. So I'm sure that was part of the nightmare for LeVar as approaching this scene. Like, okay, how am I going to cut here? How I'm going to make it look like a vision here? You know, I'm going to have Cardassians, and then there won't be Cardassians when you look back at it again, or you know, when you look at this way, you'll see Odo, and then you'll see him, but you won't see him. So he had to have all those kinds of, you know, camera shots lined up for his own understanding of the script. So I think that was pretty much the bigger nightmare for him.
You know, every time you say nightmare and LeVar Burton, it makes me think of Tim Burton and The Nightmare Before Christmas. So you just kept saying it. And so shout out to Tim Burton. He's also a fan of the show, I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. We love your work.
He's a $5 patron.
Yes.
We
ever
appreciate
since we're fans.
Yeah. No, but it was. I did get kind of a nightmare feel with the lighting, but not while I was watching. Only when I'm reading that from Eve, it makes me think, oh yeah, okay, I could see it. I wish I had known that sooner so that I could watch it looking for that. But I didn't even know LeVar directed it until after. And it is more interesting, I think, oftentimes to know who the director is before you watch it, so you can watch for their particular style, rather than afterwards you go, oh, that was LeVar, cool. And then you kind of look back at it retroactively. It's a little different. So maybe I should start looking at who the director is ahead of time, because we're meeting so many great directors, you know, like James L. Conway, who did so many great episodes. It would have been awesome to kind of know which ones he's directing ahead of time to really kind of see like a through line, or Kim Friedman as well.
Yeah, but definitely Michael Taylor has this supreme understanding of science fiction storytelling. Like the way this thing is broken down, the way it unfolds, it just flows so nicely. I thought Renee did a hell of a job as far as his performance in this. There were moments when I really believed that he had this pent up anxiety and he had this secret that he was hiding, and he was slow to expose what he felt guilty about. And the thing that I really like about this episode is the way perception is where they address perception, and the way they address how we oftentimes put people on pedestals, or we oftentimes give people more credit than they deserve, or less credit than they deserve sometimes. But the pedestal thing, I think, is a big issue. This episode started off with them talking about how great Odo was. Right. And it was like, oh, you only serve justice. You know, you don't care about the Cardassians or the Bajorans. You are here for the truth and justice and doing the right thing. And that's a moment in which he's getting elevated and put on a pedestal. That's a moment in which, you know, his ego is being inflated. And those moments humble those of us, which is most of us, that also have things that we're not so proud about in our life, right? When people are talking about you in such a way, sometimes you're like, well, you know, don't paint me out. I'm not such a saint, you know.
Right, because they don't know everything that we know about ourselves, and we're our toughest critics. And I'm sure that if we executed 3 innocent people, when people were saying, hey, you are so good, we'd be like, I wish you'd stop saying that.
Exactly. And I think this episode went deep into why that is, you know, into explaining why, you know, I wish you'd stop saying that. This, you know, it's giving me more credit than I deserve. And maybe you wouldn't say that if you knew the full story or other stories that you don't know about. Right. And I think that that's true for us all. We have moments that we felt like we didn't live up to the best of our abilities or best of our potential, or, you know, maybe we're embarrassed by, or we miscalculated or made the wrong decisions. And we have to live by those moments the same we live by the great moments that we have where you did something heroic, or you know, you were amazing at something, right? You have to kind of, both of those things define you, not just the one, right? Totally. So you're not just O.J. Simpson, the
That's so funny. I knew we're both of us were about to go into sports. Like I was sitting there, I was like, who's going to go to sports right now? Because if you're not, I'm about to.
Yeah, I'm going. So you're not just that guy, the guy who won Heisman and did all these great things, but you're also the guy who had to deal with this other thing too. And so
I don't know anything about that.
Well, we don't know. We won't go into that. But let's just say that both things are true.
Mm-hmm.
Both things are true. And if you turn your back and a blind eye to one thing and just elevate somebody or just put somebody down, they're both, you know, both things are true. This guy was also probably a good guy and did good things and had, you know, gave rides to kids and passed out Christmas presents and whatever else.
And he did athletic things on his Hertz rent-a-car commercials, if I remember correctly. He would like hurdle over. He'd be like, Hertz rent-a-car. And we're like, yeah, OJ.
Yeah, and don't forget the Naked Gun trilogy or whatever.
How could I forget?
But yeah, so we're all measured up by all of those things, like the sum of what we've done, not just the good things or not just the bad things. And I think this episode really kind of elaborated on that concept in a very interesting way that helped develop even more character relationship bonding for me.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to go to our break in just a second here. Last thing on OJ is, if you've ever seen, I don't know if you've ever seen Dave Chappelle's routine about OJ, but it's pretty hilarious. Check it out if you haven't seen it. I think you may have. It's pretty famous. It's a pretty good one. Also,
I have seen it.
Today I'm wearing a shirt. This is a tough one to see here, but it's pretty badass.
Oh wow.
Look at how cool that is. The seventh rule T7R. Awesome. Headphones not included. That is Malissa Longo. Where'd you get that? Malissa Longo made it, and it will be on walkingartmadebymelissa.com very soon. So go to that website, walkingartmadebymelissa.com. It is in the description box below. Click on it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, lots of good stuff. It's even got something on the back too. I don't remember what it is.
It says,
keep your ears
Ryan,
open.
It's no, never mind. Keep your ears open.
I won't look back there then. Does it say kick me?
It's the kick me sign.
She's like, oh, I made it just for you, Ryan.
Just for you. Don't rate it.
And we've got the trivioids on the other side. So everybody at home, stick around. We'll be right back on the seventh rule. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a very special edition of the seventh rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello.
We're doing a review of Deep Space Nine's Season 5, Episode 8, Things Past. We're having a good time. In the break, we were talking about French politics, of course, because who doesn't talk about French politics nowadays? It's so fun and interesting. Real quick, here are the trivioids that may or may not have made the cutting room floor. Garak was trying to defend the military occupation of Bajor. Bajorans gave Garak a name tag that read, Elam Garak, former Cardassian oppressor. Sorry, gotta wear it. Odo has quite a fan club on Bajor. Garak, Odo, Sisko, and Dax all look like Bajorans. Odo is seeing ghosts. Garak gets punched in the nose for trying to bribe a Cardi. Dukat asks Dax to pour Kanar for 2. Dukat needs a friend. Captain Lavara is a known smuggler. Odo hallucinates blood on his hands. That's this thing back here. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And lastly, 2 more. Dukat calls the Bajorans his children. Man, that was a good scene. And Odo is not as
Yeah.
solid as he thinks. Yeah, when Ducat was
Yeah.
sitting there going like, he's like, oh, they're like my children, and I take such good care. And my only weakness is that I care too much for my. I mean, it was just like you love these kinds of things. What is it? I've got the quote. My weakness is I'm too generous, too forgiving. My heart is too big. Boom. It's knocked out.
She's like, enough of that shit.
Yeah, she's like, I'm gonna throw up this guy. Man.
She said, your ego is huge too. Yeah, Duke was like, he's so creepy. I wrote down creepy like 3 times on my notes, but he was creepy.
Yeah.
Which he usually is, so it doesn't change. I thought I'd see a little, because he's pretty harsh in real time at DS9, right? Now they're going back to the height of his power when he's in charge and he's running the show. I thought he'd be more or even worse of a character. He actually seemed a little softer at this point, where he was, I just want to cuddle. I think there's something like what he told Dax.
Yeah, he's like, we know he's still evil and slimy and all that, but at least back then it really seems like he's trying to be beloved. Like he's just like, hey, I'm just a guy that I'm and it was so rude when he's like, I want to give more rations to the Bajoran people, but the resistance is making it really hard. Boy, oh boy, you resistance people, I'm trying to help you.
Yeah. And it's like, I want you to choose to like me, but I'm going to have guards watch the door as they drag you into my place. But it's your choice to be here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to force you to sleep.
He really seems like every woman has a story of an ex-boyfriend like that. The one that's just like, I just care too much and I'm trying to help you, but you're just, you gotta stop being so, whatever it is that you're doing that makes it so hard for me to manipulate you.
Exactly. And who else was really good in this episode? I don't know the actor, and I'm sure you can find it, but Thrax was good in this episode. He reminded me of like the guys I used to watch on the 80s television, like on Hunter and all of these shows.
You're close there.
The A-Team guys.
First of all, he actually has 2 siblings. There's Thorax, Abdomen, and Head are his.
Okay.
Yeah. And sorry, that was dumb. And last thing on Ducat was that when you were talking about his, what he's doing previously, at that time he was on a show with his clone called The Ducats of Hazard. And no, I'm just, just a little, it's just a little piece of trivia. But the actor that played Thrax is actually a known actor, and you're right, he was the dad in that 70s show.
Oh, I knew him from somewhere.
I know. He was so good, right?
I know this guy's voice. I know his face. I just don't know where I know him from. So it's the dad from that 70s show. He's hilarious too.
He is so damn good in this episode. I couldn't believe how good this guy was.
Me neither. I mean, to the point where I'm like, how did they not bring this guy back? At first I'm like, is this Jeffrey Combs? Like, this guy, this guy's good. No, it's the dad from that 70s show. Yes.
Yeah.
His voice was so familiar, but it's just his scenes. I mean, he was delivering the scenes out of this world. I thought he made a good, like when he was interrogating Quark essentially and walked up on Quark and asked him about Captain Lavara. Yeah. Like that, yeah. I thought he was just like, that's when I wrote down, I like this Cardassian interrogating Quark. I just love the way he was getting on him, basically saying, they're going to ask me for a list of people that he dealt with. And, you know what happens to people that end up on that list, right?
Yeah, and there are a couple things I want to say about that. Number one is that the actor did really surprise me because I had forgotten who it was, and he was like I thought it was just going to be a bit part, like they're just talking about this guy over there, and he was my replacement, blah 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 blah, and he didn't really even get any lines until midway through the episode. But then it's like his character grew, and that's also part of the brilliance of the writing. His character grew as we're slowly revealing that character is actually Odo. So that's what's cool about revealing his character more and more. But that actor was really just eating up those lines and delivering it so well. And he was being his own character at the same time as, once we realize that's actually Odo, we can picture a younger, harder Odo doing that. And secondarily, when he's talking with Quark, we look back, later, and we say that was actually Odo talking to Quark. That was one of their first interactions. And you see how there was a very little coyness. There was a little bit of coy, but there wasn't like that playfulness, but we could see where their relationship started, both a darker time. They don't give a shit about each other. They don't care about the station. They're doing their own thing. And we can kind of see the evolution of their relationship, in present day Deep Space Nine.
Absolutely. You just nailed it on the head. And that's testament to the excellent writing for that growth to have come on screen at the same time that they were slowly revealing, because they made good cutaways for why Odo wasn't able to tell the story. Because I think at some point they were like, so then what happened at this point? Like, what were you were here, you remember, like what would happen next? And right when he was about to get into it, something would happen, right? The explosion happened, for example, on the promenade when he was about to explain it, or something else would take his attention. So we didn't get the story until I think they were in the cell, when he started to really address. I think Sisko asked him again, like, you were saying that this is what happened, and I need you to go into it more, explain what happened with Thrax and this and that. And so it was well written in the fact that they kept it away from me long enough where they kept it just around the corner. It was just right there. I was like, like, well, where's Odo? What's going on? And they just kept it just far away enough, giving you just enough information to get to the next, the next act until they finally decided they wanted to reveal the story. So I thought the way they kept the pace on was excellent. And this actor obviously was just like, clearly he's he moved on and decided and had a great career on that 70s show. So
right, and he's also, I believe, he's a villain in a 2-parter on Voyager as well. I think it's Anorax is his name, but please fact check me on that. Star Trek friends, they probably don't have to. They probably already know Anorax, which actually means jackets in French. So everybody, you don't need to fact check that. That is true.
Okay.
Spelled differently. But.
So I don't know. So the first thing I wanted to say, well, just really quickly, I wanted to get it out there. My original thought, my initial thought, as soon as the episode came on and they were transported in time and space, was that this is a Q episode. And I don't know if that's something that came across your mind or at all, but initially I'm like, oh, this is going to be a Q episode, right?
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. I hadn't thought of that, but that's definitely something. Whenever these kind of things happen, there are a few options. It was all a dream. There's, a special alien. There's Q. There's holodeck program.
Right. A malfunction of the warp core. Something happened. Actually, there was a great line in this episode. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, when he says, when he's like, "Oh, you guys must be," what do you say? "Oh, you guys must be warp core engineers or something like that. And then
Yeah.
my first thought is that's like us going, oh, a rocket scientist over here.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. That's a rocket scientist joke.
He's like, come on, guys, walk forward, step over the threshold. You can do it. He's like, oh God, it's like, you guys, you guys can't figure this out.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And the warp core engineer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the offer that he gave them of 12 hours a day with 2 5-minute breaks, I thought that was typical. Like, hey, you're getting a great deal here.
Quark was so funny with these. Like, he was such a dick. He was like, come on, you can do it. Right this way. Here we go. He's like, do you want to walk with me or shall I hold your hand and lead you? I was like, wow, Quark, look at the set of balls on this guy talking, And then Odo and Sisko are like, boy, I'd love to just kill him right now.
Yeah, they're like, can we alter the timeline and just teach him a lesson?
I'd be willing to test out that theory.
Oh man. But I thought Garrick had some of the like stinging lines in this episode. There were a few lines that he said that were really difficult for me to digest. One of them is when he was talking about the Bajorans and he said, servile work is in their nature. He's like, this is best suited for the Bajorans. Like, I'm not used to doing this manual labor.
Was that
whatever.
Garrick that said that?
Yeah, that was Garrick to Sisko.
Yeah, because there are a few lines like that where they're like going, did you hear what we just said?
Yeah, there was a few of them, and I was like, whoa, and then to say that to Sisko, I'm thinking, you're talking to the black captain about servitude and slavery? Like, I don't think you're going to miss on that one.
That's a little tone deaf.
Yeah, it's not going to hit really on the scale that you're looking for. But there were also other elements that I thought were cool about this in the sci-fi realm. One is that there were real consequences that were happening to them in their physical body as they were going through this sort of dreamlike sequence, right? That's a little sci-fi element. I think we found some of that in the movie The Matrix, when Neo was in the Matrix but he was actually in that ship, and sometimes when they would, if they die in the Matrix, they die in the person version of themselves, right?
Right. That's exactly. First of all, impression of what's the actor's name? I already forgot. Keanu Reeves. Impression of Keanu Reeves in every single movie ever. Whoa. Okay. So, everybody's waiting for me to go like, I know Kung Fu. But yeah, that's, that's what
Keanu voice.
Thanks. That's what they have to do, like in every episode, in every movie like that, because otherwise it's just a dream thing. Nobody cares. They're like, if there's no real danger, then nobody cares, right? And obviously we talk about it's just called raising the stakes. And so then this way, the second somebody's nose bleeds from trauma they had in this dream, now the stakes are raised to where we know whatever happens in here, even though it's a dream or it's a simulation or whatever, it's going to happen in real life. So we actually still fear for their safety. And, it's very quick, very subtle, but we get it. We're like, oh, well, then they better not die in this dream.
Right. Right. Because dying in this dream means dying in real life. And so that obviously, like you say, raises the stakes. And I just think that's, even though it's a subtle concept, it's being introduced here in this episode. This is well before Matrix or any kind of movie that I've seen using this same kind of concept of, you die in the dream, you die in real life. So, except for the Freddy Krueger Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, which used this
now you think it's like Nightmare on Elm. Now you're coming around. See, Eve, we got him.
Now it's Nightmare. Now I get it. That's what he meant. All right. The other thing was, this also reminded me of the Discovery episode a little bit. There's something about it reminded me.
Watch your mouth. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We love Discovery. Please continue.
Yeah, well, you remember when the kid is in that simulation, and each one of them that went in to go visit the kid are all appear differently, so that it wouldn't shock this kid who every time he screams,
Oh, the
causes
Kelpian. Yeah,
the Kelpian, right, right, and they were changed. Their body image was changed so that the Kelpian kid would, be softer at receiving them. I kind of got a little bit of this episode in that episode, maybe just because of the fact that they were changed, their appearance was changed.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Good callback.
Yeah, just a little small callback.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I wish I had more of the lines that were said, and I guess it may have been Garrick every time. No, I think it was Thrax that said a couple lines that were very hard hitting. Like that's what it was. He was saying like they just need to know their place, basically. Like they're being controlled for 50 years, they're gonna be controlled for another 50 years. They need to just deal with it, kind of thing, And and then now we're finding out that was actually Odo, because Odo is just all about law and order and justice and all that, which is great 99% of the time, and that's exactly what his job is. But then there's that 1% of the time where he's like, just deal with it. This is your role. And people are like, well, yeah, but that's not what I want my role to be. So it doesn't work that way. And it was just really interesting the way, not just the way it was delivered, because Star Trek always does that, delivers it well, but that it added extra weight when we find out that was actually Odo that used to say those things. So I thought that was what put the cherry on top of what we already know Star Trek does well.
Yes, and this is a perfect example of hindsight is 2020. So the future Odo knows that there's an end of the occupation. He knows that Tarek Nora is going to be Deep Space Nine, and that there is a way forward for the Bajorans to get their freedom and independence back, and for this thing to end, and they are not subject to eternity of slavery and accepting their place in history, right? And that's what the new Odo was telling the old Odo, that there is this change coming, and you need to change too. And he also was trying to tell him that there is more to life than the rule of law. Like there's more than just the rule of law. There's humanity, right? There's things that transcends what people write down and say you're supposed to do this and you're not supposed to do that. And there's also due diligence. He is saying that he didn't do his due diligence in investigating this case. He could have checked the ballistics and found out the impact of the way they do forensics now, and they determine who the killer is or who was responsible for whatever it is. When they're solving an unsolved mystery, they test for fingerprints. They're doing ballistic reports. They're putting strings in the bullet holes to find which direction it was fired and how the angle of entry, point of exit, and when they're checking for arson, they want to know if there's any accelerants on the floor. Were there any? How did the person start this fire? How did this fire start? Was it natural? Was it an electrical fire? Was it a gasoline fire? And so you do your diligence by finding the evidence, by doing the fact checking, and he didn't do it in this case. And he's trying to tell the old self, these are the things that you overlooked, right? You didn't double check the stories of the Cardassian guards that were there. You didn't double check. You didn't cross-examine the eyewitnesses that saw that he wasn't trying to strangle Gul Dukat, but instead was trying to, help Dax. So I mean, just a very, very well written episode. I just thought it was fantastic from the start to finish.
I didn't know that they put strings and bullet holes. I got stuck on a couple of things you said there. It kind of made my mind wander. But I'm like, that's a really good idea. They put the strings and the bullet holes to see, where it shoots. So I kind of got lost in that train of thought because that was, good knowledge on your part. Also, when you said, they figure out who started the fire, and we all know who did not start the fire, Billy Joel. But beyond that, these are, I mean, or maybe the lady doth protest too much. Methinks. So we only have a few minutes left. I guess the O'Brien's got the week off. So that's pretty cool. And
Worf?
No, Worf was there. He and Julian, but they probably did all their stuff in one day. But
yeah,
Kira, Nana Visitor, she worked one day that week, and I was just thinking that's probably her first time back, maybe from having her baby, or maybe she was. So. And so I was just imagining if maybe that was her first time back, and it was like a Friday or something like that, and it must have been really cool for everybody to be like, all right, you're back for just one day, if you can swing it, if you're good. And she must have gotten the big applause and all the big hugs and all that kind of stuff, and she was glowing in the picture, and she has this nice powerful moment with Odo to close out the episode. And of course, I don't know how that all worked out logistically. Maybe they shot it a month later. I think someone was telling us that they shot her stuff like at different times. They had to go back and reshoot things or whatever. But that's just the way I like to look at it, is her first time back, and she has this great scene with Odo. It's not just some dumb opening scene of like, oh, the Ractogino thing's broken. It's like she gets to come back and have a poignant moment, kind of like the exclamation point at the end of the episode. But it was great to see her back. And it was nice to see the O'Briens getting a week off. I bet you Colin was like looking through the script. He's like, honey, we're going on a vacation this week. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, at that time in history, I believe that Colin was not doing very much vacationing. I think he was working so much. He might have been doing Under Siege and all
Con Air or something like that.
Yeah. One of these movies that he's done. So, yeah, he didn't do too much vacationing. He was working a hell of a lot. So, I'm pretty sure that if he wasn't in it, he was doing something else. But yeah, I thought that it was a special moment. I actually did a little heart emoji on my notes when Kira came up at the end. They have so much history together, and he had so much of a realizing moment in this, where he really matures and resolves some deep-seated issues that he's probably been carrying around for a long time. I thought it was great that they were able to sneak the Kira scene in, because that is somebody that he's kind of grown alongside with, and who's helped him open up and become more quote unquote human, right? In his feelings and emotions. And that's what we see in this. We see more of a human Odo. We actually dealing with the burden of regret. But I want to say that the scene itself, where Kira says, I hope you didn't kill any more innocent people. And the way it ended with Odo saying, I'm not sure.
Right. He doesn't know.
But I hope so. I hope so, but I'm not sure, And that they left it on a question mark. They left it kind of unresolved, which is good. I liked it. I was like, wow, this is a good ending. It's not like, oh yeah, we saved the day and, or we went back in time and saved those guys' lives that were wrongfully executed. No, those people still got executed. And you still have to live with that regret, and now you even have maybe second guess whether you were responsible for somebody else's wrongful or innocent murder. So I just thought the way that it ended was also good. It wasn't just like a bow on it. It was more like just a self-reflecting. Let me just see. Yeah, I wish I could do better. I wish I had done better, but I will do better. And that's all we can ask from ourselves. Uh-oh.
Oh, look at the clock, tells us we have a minute left. So it's
It's about that time.
It's time for the nitpick of the day, number 47. This episode was confusing.
Any follow-up on that? I mean, anything?
Sorry, we're very low on time. Otherwise, boy, would I ever back that up. Now, next is, this is also going to be a tricky one. I have a feeling this one's going to be tricky. Jake Sisko guesses the IMDb score.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like this was a great episode. It's hard for me not to give it anywhere like under an 8, between 8.8 and 8.5. So I'm going to go 8.3.
It got a 7.5 on IMDb.
Wow.
But after this review, people may go back and reassess.
7.5. That's like just a little bit above average.
Yeah. For Deep Space Nine. It's way above average for most shows. But for Deep Space Nine, the bar is pretty high for Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, for us, that's kind of average. And I'm thinking that this was an above average episode. I thought they told the right stories in it. It played well for me on screen. And I have to credit the actors. I thought Odo did a great job as his performance. And so did that 70s show dad.
Yeah.
And Ducat. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. The acting was A+. The acting just really impressed me. Even Sisko started to have a little bit more of his low, brooding kind of feel to him. So we got to run. This is time for the free-for-all. Up next, we do want to give a very special thank you to Carmen, a.k.a. Skillet, PJ Thomas, TJ Jackson-Bey out in Missouri, Bill Victor Arucan, Yvette Blackmon, Homer Freezy, Eve England out in Wales, Dr. Marie Segal, Dr. Susan B. Gruner, Titus Mohler, Tim Baum, and Darlena Marie Blander. We'll see you all on the other side on the free-for-all. We'll be right back on the 7th Rule. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 7th Rule. This is the free-for-all. We've got Homer Frizzell. We have Melissa Longo, TJ Jackson-Bey, Skillet, a.k.a. Skillet. And Dr. Susan B. Gruner. Cirroc Lofton is here, being the champ that he is. We have Mochi in the corner there. And Homer is doing his best impression of Scotty on Next Generation and is like phasing in and out in a transporter accident.
Yeah. So I found out that mint green can also kind of work for green screen usage. And it's possible, like I've moved around before, and you might actually get to see it depending on how the light hits it. But this is an Abyssinian kiosk shirt, and I had to go with the background. And now the great thing for everybody else is you can see more of the background than you would have otherwise.
Abyssinian kiosk. You can get it in the description box below.
Yeah, and
get it in whatever color you want, but we recommend mint green.
Mint green if you want to have fun on Zoom.
Melissa, who are you wearing?
I am wearing walking art made by Melissa.
Nice.
Yes, resist.
Resist.
It's the silhouette line.
It is the silhouette line.
Very nice.
I like that.
It's Kira. You were saying something, Cirroc?
I was saying, Ryan, what kind of shirt do you have on?
Well, the same one as like 45 minutes ago, which is the walking art made by Melissa.com.
Love
you
that.
Can find it in the description box below.
God damn it, I don't know that one.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one before.
It's coming soon.
Okay.
Thinking new.
Yeah, I was about to say, I haven't seen that one on your Instagram, and I see your Instagram.
Fresh off the press.
I need a new drawer.
And what does it say in the back? Kick me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys.
Yeah, Melissa said, "Oh, I got one just for you, Ryan. Don't look in the back. Just trust me. Just wear that." Also, Sue, real quick, can you do a little show and tell on your new toys that you got?
I don't know if you'll be able to see them with the green screen, but probably, well, you know what? I can turn it off, maybe.
Or if you put it in front of you, like, and let your
put it
body
in
come
front of
in.
your-
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay,
No,
so
no.
now you can see it.
Ooh.
Cool.
Is that awesome?
Fancy.
I love
And
this.
it's not
one.
Homer's fault. And then this, two,
So cool.
totally cool.
It looks like an old camera, like the old Kodak cameras.
Yeah, I know
But
it does. And it has the little thing with a little flashy light on the bottom, so I can pretend that I'm a Star Trek
Nice.
scientist. It's totally adorable. I love it.
That's a good
Love it.
purchase.
Yes. Credit card.
Now we
is
can
on
find some time crystals together.
Oh, those time crystals.
Yes.
So today we did
how
a
long-
review.
how
Sorry, go ahead.
Practice- Oh, sorry. I was
No,
going to
please.
ask Susan, how long did you practice flipping that tricorder open like that? Because it seemed pretty natural for you.
I know. I had an app on my phone and it disappeared when I first got my iPhone. How long ago would that have been? Like one of the first ones, and there was an app. And I'm thinking Apple should make a phone like a communicator. They'd make even a more bazillion dollars if they did that. I'd buy it.
Well, coming soon. It'll be out.
If I can call somewhere and get
I
binged
did
up,
get a
then
new
I'll buy
iPhone
it too.
cover that has nothing to do with Star Trek, but you have to admit it's very cool.
Oh,
I don't have to admit
spiders.
that.
That's a spider web.
Or is
Yep,
that a
spider
tick?
With
web.
a fly. It's a fly and a spider, but they're in love. The fly is offering a bouquet of flowers to the spider. The fly is not dinner.
Your thoughts, Skillet?
Hmm?
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on an
It was
ant
a
or a
bug,
fly giving
bug
a
question.
bouquet of flowers to a spider?
A jumping spider.
Not the best idea because they're about to get got. So
That's right.
Yeah.
spider is just like, thanks for the flowers.
It's like the scorpion and the frog. It's like you knew what I was.
Yes. Yeah. You knew what this was. Don't pretend.
I love the hair skill.
Thank you. It's finally growing back.
It's good.
So yeah, I don't think that any of you, I think I came on after, but I shaved my head in December of 2019.
Wow.
Wow.
And then, yeah, I was planning to keep it shaved all of 2020, but then obviously couldn't. And it started growing back and I hated it. So that's why every time I came on the show, I would either had on a head wrap or I had a wig because it just did not. Like I looked fly with my head bald. Like I looked really good. But then
I don't know.
was,
It
like,
looks pretty good like this too, though.
Thank you. No,
honestly.
I actually I love my hair. So
Mhm.
I had to shave it for reasons. But yeah, so it was just like, wow, I got to do this free for all thing, and I don't like how this looks. So, but yes, now that it's growing out, I really like it, and thank you for noticing.
Looks good. Looks good.
Hey,
Good
Ryan.
going.
Did you catch that she has to stay fly?
No, I did not.
Is that a song reference?
It
Yes.
Very
is.
good.
Of
It
course.
is.
It is.
We've had a few of those today, like every day. We're reviewing things past earlier. Maybe we could talk about it a little bit more. But before we do that, a fun question has just come up. So this episode was kind of like the "It Was All a Dream" episodes that a lot of shows have, especially sci-fi. It was all a holodeck, or it was all a cue, or it was all a dream. So the question is, in the Star Trek realm, who do you think has the most interesting dreams?
Pretty easy.
All right.
I think.
All right, Skillet. And you can't say Data because we already know Data's.
Listen, sorry, guys. No cellular peptide cakes with mint frosting over here.
With mint frosting.
Deanna.
Huh.
I mean, that's what I think. That to me is like a logical. I think is maybe just more of an obvious answer. I guess you guys probably have some more introspective thoughts about that, but I think Deanna, being so influenced not by only her own experiences every day going throughout her life, because you know your dreams sort of process and manifest what happens to you. So then you have other people's thoughts just constantly influencing while you're awake. So you have not only your experiences, but other people's feelings and other people's emotions that are influencing that. And I'm sure it's like probably one of the last. I know she says that she can drown them out if she needs to, but it's like I don't think it's like just like a light switch. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm sure that her dreams manifest themselves in very, very vivid and interesting ways.
That's really interesting because maybe she like gets impressions from the people on the ship too while she's sleeping, and but we've got Anne Marie arriving right now, you guys. Let's pretend like she can't hear us. Let's all just like pretend like her audio's not working. It'll be hilarious.
Wait, you want us to not talk or?
Oh, weird. I can't hear you. Ha, hilarious.
Did you try turning it off and back on again?
We need a timeout. We need a serious.
Oh my God.
She
picked it up quick,
at the same time. She was like, there's no way they're all talking.
It would have taken me a half hour.
Yeah,
so well done.
What tipped you off so fast, Anne Marie?
Just your face. There's no way if you're looking that normal, you're being serious.
That's true. So the question we're all talking about right now, because we just did past tense, what is since this is kind of like it was all a dream episode kind of thing. Who do you think has the most interesting dreams in Star Trek? Skillet just answered Deanna Troi, which is a pretty interesting and fun one. Homer, what do you think?
To point out that the dream that we saw Deanna Troi in, all she did was float around yelling, "Where are you?"
Oh my God, that was such a good Deanna Troi voice.
I could never get that out of my head.
It was good.
So my answer, because we've never seen, to my knowledge, any of these dreams, because I think they'd be too hard to actually show on television, is Q.
Whoa.
That's deep.
Oh.
Interesting.
They're too complicated for our minds.
Well, the episode he was made human, remember how he made that whole show about how he was overcome with fatigue and he was rendered unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have to ask if I assume that they are mostly non-corporeal beings. You assume
I think that's right.
You assume that he does sleep and have dreams at some point, because he didn't understand the concept of sleep until he became human.
I think there's something else besides sleep that he does to recharge and regenerate in his non-corporeal status. Exactly. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
It's just craziness.
That finger thing.
And Marie.
No, that's how they. Did you just did Q6 on screen?
Yeah.
That's obscene.
Yeah, there goes our PG rating.
Now it's TV.
Yep, there goes the rating.
It's thank you.
Or was that what was that show
for
where she
everyone?
would pause time? What was that show where she would stop time?
E.T.?
No. It was like an 80s sitcom.
Small Wonder.
Yeah.
No.
Was it?
Small Wonder, she was the android.
No. It was Wouldn't You Like to Swing on a Star?
Yeah.
Every moonbeams home in a jar.
Oh my God, Cirroc's so cute today.
What was the name of that show? Oh my God.
I bet you everybody in the chat right now knows, and they're all giving us the
Yeah.
answer. Anyway, well,
Okay, it says Out of This World.
yes,
Okay.
Yes.
good work,
Yeah.
excellent.
She would stop time like this and then like unfreeze it like this, I think.
Mm.
I never saw that.
Me either. Never heard of it.
It was fun.
Yeah. It was like a kid's show, but she would stop time and like rearrange the furniture or do stuff, and it was like it's like that kind of a show.
DJ wasn't singing along, so I don't think it's one of his favorite songs.
I don't know this show.
Being very polite.
Yeah. Well,
it wasn't
polite
exactly
on
the
it.
most popular show, but you know.
It
No.
sounds interesting. I mean, I think I would
Yes.
give it a watch.
Yeah, set up a marathon with that in Colombo, and you're set.
Yeah. Why do I remember the theme song so well? Don't ask me why, but
because it's catchy.
Yeah.
Love that
No,
song.
why? It's because you watched
What
it all
is-
the time.
What
I
is
do
the
watch
theme
it.
song for Colombo? Does the Colombo have a theme song?
Mhm.
Remember?
Yeah, it's just music. It's like it's music. I don't remember how it goes.
So it's instrumental.
Yes.
It's an instrumental, yeah.
All right, Sue, save us.
Yeah, please.
Solve the mystery
Okay,
that
the dream thing, I'm going with Dax. Judge the
Oh,
Good answer.
that is right. Good answer.
Got the horny guy before, the old man.
Oh, that's why I was going to say Bashir.
dimness.
Oh, you mean that kind of interesting dream?
Oh,
Anyway, all of that together, I think she would have some wicked cool dreams.
Yeah. Melissa, what do you think?
I don't know that I could top Dax.
That's Bashir's dream. Anyway.
Whoa.
There's another, Ryan, you got another 50. You got 150 points so far.
I don't know.
No.
Yes.
negative.
Just gave
Negative.
Negative.
Yeah. That's a gutter ball.
Who has the most interesting dreams? I don't know. Maybe Odo has interesting dreams. What do changelings dream about when they regenerate? Being about in the link? I don't know.
That reminds me of Do Androids Dream, I think. If Philip K. Dick, I don't know if that's the exact title. And that was the forerunner to... Uh-oh. Thank you. You saved me.
What was it?
To what? The forerunner to what?
Blade Runner.
It's something that's kind of, it's either the subtitle or it's part of the,
Do
and it makes sense. In other words, like, are they real people? Are they sentient? It gets to that question. So
Since they have that
data's
dream
off the
program.
table, so that's good. Yeah.
Hal asks that question too. Hal, the
Hal's
Hal
creepy.
9000.
Creepy is all heck.
Oh.
TJ, what do you got?
Well, let's see. You said I couldn't use data. So I'm going to use lore. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, oh my
Or
God.
B4?
I was going to say Dax also, but I came up with another one after she said Dax. I'm going to go with the Borg Queen.
Ooh.
With all of those minds linked together.
Ooh.
Probably
those
has
voices
the
in her
most
head.
interesting dreams.
Okay. That's a good one.
Huh.
Dr. Anne-Marie Segal, what do you think?
I'm gonna go with the one person I can think of who probably doesn't have nightmares all the time from all these episodes they've been in. Moogie. Moogie's so fun.
Moogie's your
her
answer
dreams
for
are-
everything.
Her dreams are just gonna be full of like inspiration and ways to be successful and make Frankenstein better.
And creepy husbands.
He's not creepy. He's cute.
No.
I don't know
Oh,
about Keldar.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he seemed like a teddy bear from how she described him.
Oh, how did that get there? And she's like, get your hand off my thigh or something like that.
That was a good one right there.
Yeah, good episode. Cirroc, what do you got?
My initial thought was Nog. And just because he dreamt of being something more than whatever he was limited to in his history and tradition, and he wanted to be something more than that. And I felt like that's a dream that he had that he made come true. So
Awesome.
I think he's a great dreamer.
My favorite answer so far.
Yeah. That's our favorite person, human or Ferengi. I got two quickies. Number one is Garrick, because with his sick and twisted mind, it's just going to be just all the weirdest stuff, just constantly swirling around, because just the way he talks. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun.
And who knows, maybe he's trying to talk normally, but it's just his brain's so scrambled from his weirdo dreams. And the other one, obviously, is Eric's.
Eric's?
Oh, from TAS or something?
Yeah.
Yes.
What kind of alien is that with the 3 arms and 3 legs?
Is it Edosian?
Edosian, got it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That wasn't obvious, I guess.
You dork.
No.
Okay.
I thought you were. Yeah, no, I have nothing for that, Ryan. Eric's.
Yeah. Although we did have our second Edosian in Lower Decks, who was like that slave trader or something like that. He had the. Anyway, you guys have any thoughts on this episode, though? Because this was a pretty interesting episode. We definitely had a lot to say. Homer, you have anything to throw in?
I like these kind of alternative universe type episodes. And I think they did a good job or at least they did a good job keeping me guessing as to exactly why we were seeing this and what the involvement was of everyone, the 4 of them. I had forgotten this episode specifically, and so it was fun to rewatch it, not knowing exactly all the details. I think that the scientific explanation probably wouldn't hold water, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's like it's an EMS pulse type 2.
Yeah, the science at the end, we're just like, it's okay. You don't have to. We get it. It was a change.
It was a great story. It was a great story. It was a lot of fun. Good ride.
It did try.
Yeah, they were like the link and the this and the that, the neural.
He reached out for the link and only had you 3 people, so sorry, you had to stand in for the link, and you weren't that good as the link, I guess. I don't know. It was a lot of fun though.
Yeah, so now Odo's telepathic apparently for one episode.
When he's solid, he's solid.
Yeah.
But that shot behind you, Homer, reminds me, I swear, the way they're all lying there connected to the.
Hang on.
That reminds me
of seashells.
That reminds me of The Matrix.
Yeah, and it's very similar because in The Matrix, I think that Neo got hurt like on the physical plane when he was in the Matrix, and so it's like, okay, whatever's happening in there is real, so we have to be concerned and worried, like even though it's like the holodeck, but not exactly, because there are serious ramifications if something goes south.
I love thinking of the ways that like electromagnetic pulses would shift electrons and atoms, and then they would cause them to like jiggle at a different frequency, and they could all line up and do weird things. I think it's so interesting, especially because like your brain runs on electrical pulses. So I think it's fun to think about. It's a cool science fiction leap.
Very fun.
Yeah.
I want to know
like one of those like
how long I could stay there without laughing on those beds or whatever you call it.
Those hair dryers. Those are hair dryers, actually.
Yeah, that's
I was saying,
They
hilarious.
took apart some hair dryers
my
and
God.
said, what can we do with these?
I wonder what their hair looks like when they wake up.
and how do they keep a straight face? I'm totally serious. Did they actually do this in like one take or not? Inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah.
Their hair looks like they're in seashells.
I guess it would depend on how many camera angles there were.
Well, Cirroc, you guys have to pretty much working on a Star Trek show for 7 years. You pretty much every other day have to not think about how silly something looks, or like when they're like, okay, pretend like you're going to get a phaser blast, and you're like, okay, and they're like, no, really get into it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just like it's gotta be so hard. Or like the one where that video with you and Avery having the giggles because you guys are like cuddling on the floor and rolling around. He's like, "Are you okay?" And you couldn't stop laughing. So I can't imagine how hard it is for you guys. You know, like when you have seashells on your head, or if you have a funny hat, or just all the weird
Fribble.
stuff. Yeah.
I'd like to have a little bit more of a wrap up, like, because it's obviously like they're sort of in a real life simulation to learn how people actually felt who were living in the station and like in a concentration camp scenario. Like, I would have liked to see, instead of the wrap up of like Odo and Kira, more like Garrick learning how it felt to like be them once he's like out of the coma and can kind of like process it, or even like, I mean, obviously Sisko and Dax understood things really well, but like probably living it, they are able to like put themselves in those people's places even better.
Yeah, that would have been a better ending.
I liked the.
It got some good lines in there, though. I thought that when Garrick said that he loved the Bajorans, that they're like his children or something like
Ducat,
that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
good.
Ducat, that's so
And
good.
yeah, I thought, oh man,
Yeah.
he's a good actor.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good ending, but like Kira has at this point already started to see like the gray areas of things. Like, obviously it's news that Odo kind of like didn't walk the line quite as finely all the time, but it is season 5 where she started to see like there's always a lot of layers to think about. So I was a little shocked that she was, I mean, I don't know, it's hard to say, but I feel like she should have already assumed like some of that kind of thing went on.
Well, I think that she also held him at a higher standard than most people, because
Good
he
point.
holds himself at a higher standard than most people. So when that standard is shattered, or that image is shattered, it's going to take time to process, no matter if you're understanding the layers of different people or not. So I mean,
Right. It's like somebody bust a bubble.
Exactly. It's like when you put your heroes on a pedestal and figure out they're human. They're flawed just like everyone else. So they're going to mess up and they're going to make mistakes, but accepting those mistakes is easier said than done.
Her line was great too, about everybody getting a little dirty.
Very much.
I don't remember that line.
Yeah, she said something like that you couldn't get through it without getting a little dirty. Something along those lines.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay. Well, any other thoughts?
Yeah, I was thinking that that the connection just came to me that Ducat had a half Bajoran daughter.
Yeah.
And that the mother of that child could have been Dax in this particular scenario, or at least the character that Dax is playing. Right?
Oh my God.
Oh.
That's a great idea for some fan fiction.
Right. Right. That's. I just thought of that. I was like, wait a minute. So was Dax, playing the Bajoran woman that hooked up with Ducat to create that baby? That was
hooked up is no.
Is that the right word?
No.
I don't think they got that far.
Well, no, because it's not necessarily consensual. He's the guy in power, and she's the subservient Bajoran woman who has to do what she's told.
Who knocked him out and saved her friends.
And she said her name was Lita.
Oh yeah, I was going to
so
say
brilliant.
that's a Nam right there.
So brilliant.
I forgot I was going to
That's-
mention that. Is that considered a Nam? I feel like it
Yes.
should be.
I agree.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's
It's
a
That was
official.
really, really good.
that was great.
wow. Yeah, the Lita reference. I didn't even pay attention to that. That was really good.
Hey,
I love
yeah.
the idea. Like, is Lita? How common of a name on Bajor is Lita? I want to know. Like, is it like Ashley?
Field trip.
Ashley. I
Yeah.
don't know why
And-
that
Wait,
made
is
me
it like
laugh.
Tammy?
And in 2375, how common or whatever year
Yeah,
was
I
it?
want to know that about Bajor names now.
Well, real
Yeah,
quick,
well, just-
speaking of NAMs, though, I do want to point out
Mhm.
how we're doing in the standings of the NAMs, the non-appearance mentions.
Oh,
Who's
yeah.
gotten the most non-appearance mentions? Well, in the top 10, with 3 are Lita, Cassidy, Jennifer Sisko, and Morn. Then tied with 4 are Mugi and Grand Negus Sek. That's cute. They're together.
Yeah.
Then 2 people have 6. Shakar's got 6, and he's
Dude.
only got like 2 appearances, actual
That's-
appearances.
Mhm.
He gets a special honorary award for that.
Really. And cousin Gala,
Oh yeah.
6 non-appearance mentions and no appearances.
Amazing.
Yeah.
The one with the moon?
Yeah. Molly has 8.
Wow.
Jake Sisko has 9.
Woo!
Rom has 10. And first place tie with 11 are Keiko and Nog.
You know, like Nog's about to fall from that first spot.
Right,
since
because he's gonna
about to
get
come in so
actual
much.
appearances.
He's going to get actual
Yeah.
appearances, yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
excited for that.
Which
Next
I'm
week,
sure
starting
they
next
take
week,
over
in
now.
fact. He'll be back next week.
You should restart and do actual appearance mentions.
That's everyone.
What?
and
It's just the cat.
Yeah.
So
Abs.
wait. If they just appear and
I
don't
can
get
tell you who
mentioned,
the
does that
top
count?
6 are.
That does not count. They have to be mentioned and they're on.
So, like,
Skillet's not buying. She's like,
It's a hard
What?
sell, I know.
Does not
Yeah.
approve.
as-
do you mean their name has to be said?
Yes.
Huh.
and they're
Well,
in the episode.
And they're in the episode. So they actually appear.
Well, that would be
And
weird.
they're
because
mentioned.
If I'm talking to you, Homer, then I'd have to say your name.
That's
while I'm
one.
in the middle of conversation. You know what I mean, Homer?
Exactly. So it could be interesting to track it.
No,
Mhm.
I'm not doing it. Nope.
I think this is an opportunity that we've missed out on.
I'm not buying.
Okay.
I think
You could track
We
them
look-
from here.
We look forward to seeing what you come up with when you go back and watch all of those and report
Right.
back.
this
Or
is
just look at
definitely
IMDb.
it's definitely a 3-person job for Homer, Melissa, and Anne Marie.
I'll just
They're
look at
gonna just-
IMDb and see the top crew. Or the top cast. Done.
All right.
Nams and ams.
Well,
An old man does not count for Dax.
Right.
Mm.
well, just to round out the NAMs, other people that have gotten some are Garrick,
I
Joseph
love this
Sisko,
spreadsheet.
Kira Yoshi, and Captain Baudet all have 2. And
You're in
everybody,
this episode?
no, just so far.
Oh, okay.
Overall.
Oh, I forgot about Captain
Series.
Baudet.
And everybody with 1, Sarek, Admiral Nechayev,
Ooh.
Dr. Crusher, Will Riker, Mila, Ducat, Eddington, Kai Wynn, Kern, Alexander, come on, Alexander, Kestra, Dr. Mora, Koloth, and Gorn Captain.
I can't
Who said
believe
Dr. Crusher?
Kai Wynn doesn't know more.
I don't remember.
No one likes Kai Wynn.
Yeah, but I feel like she comes
No.
up all the time.
Yeah,
It's
but no
weird.
one wants to talk about her if she's not there.
She's
Cirroc
worse.
brings her up the most, honestly.
I hate her just by that. The face-
It's literally the worst. She and Ducat are tied from the 2
She
worst
and Ducat.
people ever.
Yeah.
And sometimes Ducat doesn't have more, where he's just mentioned.
Nobody likes him either.
They're worried if they talk about him, he'll show up.
Go up here. Yeah.
I know.
Power of suggestion.
All right. Well, we better run for this week, Air Buddy. But thanks so much for joining us, Homer, Melissa, TJ, Sue, Skillet, and Anne Marie. I think that's it for us this week. But everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for, subscribing and becoming a patron and sharing this with your friends. Boy, oh boy, so many fun things to do. For Cirroc Lofton, hit that like button. Victory is like, right?
Yeah.
Drop a comment below.
For Cirroc Lofton, Mr. Aron Eisenberg, Russ Hasledge, and myself, thank you all very much. And always remember the 7th rule.